You know what? This is probably the question I get asked more than anything else lately. How do you know when it's time to move up a dose on Mounjaro? And honestly, I understand why people ask it so much, because when you first start this journey, nobody really gives you a clear answer. A lot of people assume if they feel hungry one day, they should increase it. If the weight loss slows down for a week, they should increase it. Or if food noise creeps back ever so slightly, the medication has suddenly stopped working. I don't think it's quite that simple, because one of the biggest things I've learned in the last 11 months is that your body doesn't lose weight in a completely straight line. Your appetite changes, your routines can change, your stress levels can change, and your expectations can change. And sometimes what feels like the medication has stopped working, it's actually just normal life taking over again. But don't get me wrong, there are times when moving up makes a lot of sense, and I've experienced that myself. But I also think people can end up chasing higher and higher doses way too quickly because they panic the second things stop feeling exactly like week one. So in this video, I just want to talk honestly about dosage levels, how I personally knew it was time to move up, the signs I paid attention to, what changed for me physically and also mentally, and why I think patience matters more in Mounjaro than people would ever realise. Hello everyone, I'm Manda's Midlife, and over the past 11 months or so taking Mounjaro, I am 66 pounds down now on my medicated weight loss journey. And the one thing that I've begun to realise is that people become obsessed with the idea of moving up doses as quickly as possible. Almost like a higher dose automatically means better progress. But honestly, I don't think people talk about when it actually makes sense to move up, when you should move up, and when you might just be panicking because things no longer feel as intense as they did at the beginning. Because there's a big difference between the medication genuinely becoming less effective and your body simply setting into a more normal rhythm. And I think that's where a lot of people can get confused. So I do a weekly Saturday check-in video, and it's an opportunity for people to ask questions. It's a Q&A in essence. And the question that gets asked all the time is, should I move up a dose? This is happening, should I move up? That's happened, should I move up? And I think it's one of the biggest anxieties people have around these weight loss medications. So a lot of it is fear-based, a lot of it is panic-based, and then there's the parts where you compare yourself to other people on their journeys, or you compare yourself to earlier in your journey. And if you watch a lot of social media, you look at YouTube, you look at TikTok, all those things, Instagram, it automatically makes you think that larger doses, bigger doses equals success, and that the expectation that appetite should completely disappear. First up, let's talk about doses. So in the UK, you start on a 2.5 milligram dose of Mounjaro. That is a titration dose. That's to get you used to the medication. It's also to see if you have any adverse side effects, all that kind of stuff. It's not initially supposed to help you lose weight. A lot of people it does, and it certainly did for me, but that's not the idea of it. It's to get you used to that medication. After 4 weeks, there's an expectancy from your supplier. You're going to move up to 5 milligrams. 4 more weeks, 7.5 milligrams. 4 more weeks, 10 milligrams. 4 more weeks, 12.5 milligrams, and then 4 weeks later, finally 15 milligrams. That's the expectancy. You do not have to do that. You do not need to be forced to do that. You need to make that decision based on what we're going to talk about in this video today. And I think when we do talk about it, you're going to realise, you're going to understand, you're going to make those decisions on a measured basis rather than saying, right, I've done 4 weeks, I need to move up. I've done another 4 weeks, I need to move up. No. So a lot of people confuse normal hunger with failure. Hunger is not automatically a bad thing. I like having a little bit of hunger. I like having a little bit of food noise, and I like having a little bit of appetite. I don't want the medication to do everything for me. I've always been the same since I started this medication. I want to be able to feel it a little bit. I want to be able to be in control of it, albeit only a little bit. The medication isn't supposed to make you never eat again. It's not supposed to stop you taking in that protein, those carbs, and all those good things that you're supposed to take every day. That's not what it's designed to do. And slowly over time, your weight loss is gonna decrease, because that early rapid loss creates unrealistic expectations with this medication. You start off, you jump straight in, you lose good weight, you can't do that all the way through your journey. So that's a lot of reason why people can get confused as they move forward with this medication. So I'm currently on 10 milligrams and I've been taking that for 5 weeks now. And if you bear in mind, I'm 11 months into my journey now. I did 2.5 for about 4 weeks. And then I went up to 3.75 and I did that for a good length of time. I've only ever moved up when I've felt I've absolutely needed to. One, because it costs more money. Two, if it's working, then I felt I didn't need to. So some of the things I'm looking for, some of the consistent things I'm going to look for are your food noise returning consistently. You start thinking about food constantly again, and your portion control becomes much harder to control. You find your plate's getting a little bit more full, or you're not leaving as much food on the plate. You're looking for these signs. Your appetite suppression is starting to fade for more of a prolonged period, and your weight trend's stalling, not just for a week, not just for 2 weeks, for a good length of time. And again, your emotional eating urges are returning stronger, and we all know what that feels like. So when I decided to move up the doses, and this is so important to stress, this wasn't one bad day, it wasn't one hungry evening, it wasn't one slow week. It was a culmination of this happening over an extended period. The food noise returning, the appetite suppression not being so great. Ultimately, what it's doing is it's making it easy for you with that medication to be in a calorie deficit, because you need to expend more calories than you take in. That's what weight loss is. It's as simple as that, isn't it? So this medication will make it easier. And as long as you remain in calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. It's a tool for making that happen. So where are the points where people start to panic? And when they do start to panic, they panic quickly. They want to press the panic button and grab their needle and up a dose and away we go. A few things to look out for. A 1 week stall, you do not need to move up. Daily scale fluctuations, no need to move up. Feeling hungry after exercise, again, no need. If you're burning a lot of calories, you are going to feel more hungry. You need to adjust your calories to make that work. If you're struggling with a big meal, every now and then, that's to be expected. You're not used to taking in that amount of calories. And if you're tired or stressed and you're getting food cravings, not a reason to move up. And certainly the biggest one, and it's one I've sort of fell foul of in the early days, is comparing my journey to other people's journey. Going on YouTube and seeing Steve has lost 8 pounds this week and he lost 5 pounds last week. Sally's done this, Stacey's done that. It doesn't matter. Do not compare your journey to other people's. You are completely different to me. I am completely different to you, and we're all on different paths, and we all won't lose weight at exactly the same rate. And it's so important that you realise that, and you don't panic when you press play on a video and it's completely different to how your body's reacting, how your mindset's reacting. So those are things to look out for. Those are the things when you might start panicking, and you really don't need to rush into going up a dose when you see these signals. Right, why is patience so important? Why does it matter when you're on this weight loss journey? The one thing I've learned is that the medication works best when you stop expecting perfection every single day. Weight loss isn't linear. It's not going to be in a straight line, and your body can adapt in different phases. I've had better results on 3.75 than I've had on 7.5. Other weeks, some weeks are gonna feel quieter than others for many reasons, for outside factors, stress levels, exercise levels, working, all that kind of stuff. It all comes into it. And always remember, slow progress is still progress. You're still moving in the right direction. It's not a race. And you don't get a bigger trophy for arriving at the finish line before anyone else. It doesn't work like that. There really isn't a rush to get through this medication and rush your way to the top dose, because as I've proven, the higher dose is not automatically a better dose. And you run the risk of the side effects being worse. And of course, you're spending your hard-earned money. You're spending more money for the higher doses than you are the lower doses. If it's working, you're just throwing your money down the drain. It's as simple as that. You don't need to be moving up. And there's a psychological trap in chasing that stronger suppression as well. because I think you can become addicted to that feeling in the first few weeks. And I can remember exactly what it was like standing on that scales and 6 pounds down. It's like, come on, yes. That's an addiction. You want that feeling all the time. That week one intensity, that week one loss cannot become your benchmark, because if you continue to chase that wow effect, your unrealistic expectations, it's not going to happen. And that is the difference between controlling this weight loss medication as you move forward and panicking and losing control. So before we move on to where my current mindset is right now, I just wanted to explain to you one of the other questions that I get asked all the time. Right, now I'm going to answer a question that I get asked an awful lot. Where do you get your medication from? Well, I get my medication from a company called Bolt Pharmacy. I've been with them a few months now, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. They're really efficient, they're really helpful. They're a fully registered pharmacy in the UK, and their prices are pretty good too. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description. That's going to get you £40 off your first order. If you're in the US, there's also going to be a link there for Fella Health. Obviously, do your own research, make your own choices. All I'm doing is telling you which company I use. So where's my mindset right now? Where am I at? How am I feeling? What does it feel like to be 11 months into this weight loss journey? So for me, and I'm just learning this now, I'm just trying to experience it. I'm just trying to get to that point, because I'll put my hand up. I've made a lot of mistakes on this. If you watch some of my videos from a few months ago when I was stall after stall, it's not been as straightforward as what it possibly could be or should be. But for me, my goal is sustainability, being able to sustain a small weight loss. If I can lose £4 a month, I'm more than happy with that now. That does me just fine. I've got to learn to live normally around food, and not trying to suppress every feeling around food forever, because that's really not going to help me in the future. Because at some point I've got to get into that maintenance mindset, and I'm slowly trying to develop that. I haven't got a maintenance plan anymore, but I know that safety net of the Mounjaro possibly, maybe, who knows, might not be there forever. But it's always nice to think at the back of your mind that at some point I will give it up, and I will learn the habits. I will learn that consistency over extremes, that emotional eating got us to this point in the first place. So if you're currently sat there right now watching this, wondering whether it's time to move up, if you're one of those people that's asked the question on the Saturday check-in videos, the rules are always going to be the same. The guidelines are always going to be the same. You don't need to panic from one difficult or one awkward week, or 1 week of stalling, or maybe even you've put on weight. Pay attention to your long-term patterns. Everybody responds differently. We all react in different ways to different levels and different doses and even different food when we start this journey. Ultimately, you need to speak to your healthcare provider or your pharmacist, because that is the appropriate move to make, isn't it? You know, what I'm sharing here now is me having learned what I've learned over the past 11 months to try and make it as easy as I possibly can for you, should you be on this journey or thinking of starting this journey. Because I'm not going to lie to you. One, I didn't expect to be taking the medication this long. And two, it can be a minefield. It really can be a minefield. I've known people rush up the doses and then literally end up in hospital, or been absolutely floored by the side effect. Do what you feel you've got to do. Follow the medical advice, because I'm not a medical professional, but at the same time, try and take in some of the learnings from people that have walked this path before you, without trying to sound way too dramatic there, but you know what I'm getting at. So that pretty much sums up my thoughts on dosing up, or when it's time to dose up, or possibly a few things to avoid should you be considering going up a dose. If this channel's helped you on your journey, I genuinely would appreciate you subscribing to the channel. If you could like the video, that would be absolutely amazing too. I release videos every Wednesday and every Saturday. The Saturday ones are a little bit more chilled, they're a little bit more community based, they're a little bit more about sharing my experience and obviously answering your questions. Thanks very much for following my honest journey through all of this. There's a few videos on the screen right now where you can pretty much go all the way back to the start of my journey and follow it all the way through to now. Once again, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you on Saturday. If you've got a question for Q&A, pop it down below. Thanks again.